Transfer window is massive all over Europe. It's nowhere is it as big as the Premier League. Here are some of the incoming transfers this summer. Victor Gyökeres joins Arsenal. Liverpool expect a combined $263 million on Hugo Ekitike and Florian Wirtz, and there's more coming, as we mentioned earlier in the show. Tijani Reinders joins Man City from Milan. Šeško goes to Manchester United from RB Leipzig. And of course, Eberechi Eze joins Arsenal. Joao Pedro joins Chelsea, both from inside the Premier League. Some of the biggest outgoing transfers this summer. Dean Huijsen joins Real Madrid from Bournemouth. Luis Diaz leaves Liverpool and heads to the German champions Bayern Munich. Darwin Nunez goes from Liverpool to the Saudi Pro League. Kevin De Bruyne to Napoli on a free transfer from Manchester City. And of course, Son goes from Tottenham to LAFC. Some notable transfer deadline day news stories that we're following today. Sen Lamens goes to Manchester United from Royal Antwerp. Harvey Elliott, after 6 years at Liverpool, heads to Aston Villa. Johan Vissa finally getting the move that he's been asking for since pretty much all summer to Newcastle from Brentford. Jadon Sancho set to join Aston Villa on loan from Manchester United. And Randall Kolomoani set to join Spurs on loan from PSG. And now, everyone, the transfer deadline is shut. The window is shut. That is it. But of course, we will be updating you on all of these moves that are going to be trickling in here in the next few minutes. Guys, on August 26th, our Premier League correspondent, Geoff Shreeves, he had this to say about the entire Alexander Isak Liverpool-Newcastle saga.
This is the maddest I've ever known, this transfer window. We've still got at least a week to go. What will happen from here? I'm sure you've seen. There's talk of Brentford being interested in Max Bayer from Dortmund. Now, these things aren't facts, but I personally would be massively surprised if Liverpool come in with a huge bid for Isak, and then on the back of that, Newcastle come in with a huge bid for Wissa, and then Brentford have to have a huge bid for Bayer, and he would come in then. So I think we can judge that, Trella, in about a week's time as to what business they do.
And there he is, Geoff.
Man of his words.
Gotta saw this coming.
Well, 2 out of 3 wasn't bad, was it? But I don't think you need
little issues with your audio there, Geoff. He did call this. I mean, you saw this. It was going to be a domino effect of things, and he saw it coming, where it was going to be, you had to wait for Isak. Isak had to wait for his move until Newcastle was able to get all their replacements in, and it would be a domino effect, and that's kind of how it played out, JD.
You know why? Because, not to speak for Geoff, but he's seen so many windows in his lifetime. He knows that this is a domino effect, full stop. Look, he's saying this is over. Yeah, Geoff, it is shut. Yeah, the window is closed. We know that part. But the important thing is he's already called these type of things because he knows that transfer activities are built on a number of different factors. It isn't just in terms of the players, it isn't just in terms of the clubs, but replacements are the important thing that's always a factor.
Geoff, in terms of chaos, how would you rate this transfer window?
It's been mad, hasn't it? It's been mad, but it's been glorious as well. To be honest with you, I sort of kind of rolled back the years. For a long time, I got kind of a bit bored about transfer deadline day. There was a lot of hype and not a lot happening. But this time, the start of the window, and today's not finished as well. And to your point, JD, as well, yeah, the window is shut, but the deal sheets have got to go in. They've got to get over the line. We still don't know whether or not Mark Gay's gone to Liverpool. Honestly, there are so many mad deals still happening here. Yes, it is 7 o'clock here, but that isn't necessarily the end of the action. I can see failed signings, appeals, people going back on their word, and also players getting one last, if like, a really unexpected one under the radar. It's been absolutely crazy, this window. Absolutely crazy. You've got to say the biggest winners, though, are Liverpool, you know, with the business that they've done. And I was looking at your graphics. Well, look at their sales as well. Yes. The players they've sold. They've done excellent business. We're still waiting to hear. Isak hasn't actually been officially announced, but I'd be very surprised if there's anything wrong there. It's the Mark Gay one, which is intriguing, because a couple of sources are saying there is no way that they are going to let him go for free next summer. Steve Parish has said that all along. They simply can't afford to let him go for nothing. 35 million. But Oliver Glasner, he's the coach, of course, he says he can't let him go. He won't sanction the move unless there are replacements. Now, we had Igor Julio from Brighton earlier on today. He was at Palace's training ground. Obviously not the same calibre of player as Mark Gay, but He was supposed to sign. That didn't happen. He hijacked across the town to West Ham, and he signed for West Ham. So a real state of flux at Palace. I still think this one will go through, which just underlines for me even more what a fantastic window Liverpool have had. And I would have to say, I mean, Isak's the headline story, isn't it? But the Newcastle United owners, they've just collapsed like a deck of cards, haven't they? All that talk, no, unless the deal is right, it has to be right, there has to be the right replacements, unless we get the sum of money we wanted. Total nonsense, just gone right out of the window. And, you could look at the signings they've made, and it's really not been a good time for Eddie Howe and Newcastle United.
Definitely tough for Newcastle. Losing Isak was never going to be easy, whoever came in. The Gahey situation is interesting because you mentioned that it's still kind of up in the air whether it's going to be finalized. He already had a medical done, but then when everything happened with Palace as well, there's reports that Oliver Glasner would be willing to even leave the club if they sell Mark Gahey. There's just so much going on. I'm sure we'll be seeing exactly how that all kind of finalizes here in the last few minutes as they trickle in. But there's other clubs as well that have been doing a lot of business.
Geoff, I want to switch gears with you. I want to go to the Midlands real quick because I think there's a club in terms of Aston Villa that's doing a little bit of deadline day business, and maybe it's going underneath the radar, but what do you think in terms of the picks up of Victor Lindelof, of course, who signed now, and the reports that Harvey Elliott and both Jadon Sancho are also going to sign on deadline day?
JD, I think you have to look at Villa as a special case because do you remember that UEFA fine they got? And they can't afford, I think it's 60 million, they can't afford to lose more than. So their transfer dealings are extremely tightly controlled. They have to operate to certain budgets. That's why they had to sell Jacob Ramsey. That's why they are really hamstrung with the business that they can do. The Harvey Elliott deal is interesting. For instance, it's a loan. They wouldn't pay for him until next summer. 35 million is being quoted there. So I would have a great deal of, if you like, understanding or sympathy for Aston Villa. And if they get Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho over the line as part of this window, then I think they've done great business with one hand tied behind their back. The big mess there, though, of course, is Emi Martinez, because he didn't play the other night against Crystal Palace. He's gone to Manchester United. What has happened there? We can move on to Manchester United at some point. But Harvey Elliott, Premier League medal winner, a really good young player. Arne Slot said he would like to give him more minutes. It just wasn't possible. But now we're going to see Emi Martinez. Do you remember he did that kind of farewell lap of honour at the end of last season? I think it was Tottenham was the home game. And we all thought that was it. And we were a little bit surprised he was still there at the start of this season. Now, though, all collapsed, all gone.
I think Emi Martinez is surprised he's still there as well, in fairness. He probably have half booked a train ticket to Manchester, but
he might have been halfway there as well.
It doesn't always work out.
Yeah, it is interesting. Obviously, it needs to get across the line to be done. Head back down to North London with Tottenham Hotspur, obviously having an interesting window as they were in for Deborah Chiesa. Then that collapse, he went to the other side of North London, which was kind of expected. Xavi Simons comes in, a good signing for Tottenham. And now, after a Solanke injury, Kolo Muani decides to take his talents over to Tottenham Hotspur. Interesting for them. What do you think about this signing after Juventus wasn't able to get him back into their squad this season? Tottenham jump in and get a striker that I think will be pretty useful for them.
Yeah, I think you're right, Stefano. I think it's a good signing. I think it's also perhaps it was given a little bit of extra impetus, not just by the failings of who Tottenham tried to go for and didn't get. But don't forget, Dominic Solanke sat the game out of the weekend. He's got a niggling injury, so that possibly could be in the back of their minds. And I think they were looking for more firepower, even if Solanke is fully fit. Look, we know what this player can do. We know he is of the top draw. We know the calibre of player that he is. Juventus wanted him. There's no doubt about that. You know, he's a class act. So if he can settle at Tottenham and they can get the best out of him, absolutely, he's an excellent addition.
Geoff, I've only got one more question for you, which is, you've never been short of superlatives, so I need a superlative to describe the $3 billion that's been spent in this window. I mean, look, it's got its own place in the history books, but how would Geoff describe this summer activity?
Do you know what? I said it is crazy, but I'm no longer surprised at being surprised, if I can put it like that, because it's like it's a market. It's very much a buyer's market. And the buyer's market creates a seller's market. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because, you know, the prices that are being paid and the contracts that are being offered are all a reflection of what everybody else wants. So the market makes itself. And we've been so quiet the last couple of years, then all of a sudden, boom. Look at Liverpool, the money they've spent in this transfer window. I think their total dealings, if you do their ins and outs, is about £450 million, which is staggering. But it's good business and it's sensible business as well. And going back to the adage, you should always strengthen when you're strong, not when you're weak. So going to be interesting tomorrow as well. Perhaps you guys will do it tonight. Rankings. Who's had the best window and who's had the worst window in the Premier League? And I think it's been a frenetic period. I think there's been a lot of frantic phone calls and dealing left, right and centre. I think the managers will be glad of an international break so they can just take stock of what they've got and say, right, now we can start. Let's work with what we've got. And also as well, and I'll leave you with one question, JD.
Okay.
Where is Isak going to fit in? We know he's going to play at that sort of money, so who misses out in that front three?
Well, Mohamed Salah is a shoo-in. He's their best player, most important player. I think Cody Gakpo's kind of shown what he can do, and I think...
So, Ekitike then, who they paid 85 million for, he's not starting.
Hey, Geoff, how did Alexander do it? He did it like this, right? That's exactly how we did it. Just go and chill on the bench somewhere. That's what I'll tell him. Just go and chill on the bench. You keep it warm. There'll be enough games for everybody.
I'm sure...
Hey, great problem for Liverpool to have.
Right.
Because to have those players to call upon is keeping them all happy. I don't forget many years ago, I was talking to Arsene Wenger about a player. I said, well, why do you want to sell him? Why do you want him to go? He says, he's a fantastic player. I love this boy. He gives everything. He's all heart. He's brilliant for team spirit. Wonderful. I said, why do you want to let him go? He said, he's all of those things when he's in the team. When he's not, no, thank you.
Geoff Shreeves breaking down a historic transfer deadline day in England.